So if you or someone you know has been told that they need a colonoscopy and there's a bit of feeling of uneasiness about it, don't worry, you're not alone. I've been through the same thing myself. So I'm going to tell you what to expect before, during and after the procedure to hopefully put your mind at ease. Let's get into it. So a colonoscopy is to basically look at the large colon from the other end. This is stuff that can prevent colon cancer when they look for inflammation, bleeding, polyps, or generally anything that's wrong in that particular area. If you're having sort of digestive distress at the other end, it's a general procedure that they will prescribe to get some biopsies and to figure out what's going on. It involves a camera with a very long but very flexible tube. Certainly go inside and see what's going on. Okay, so let's talk about the part that everybody dreads, and it's the preparation beforehand. For me personally, when I've actually had it done recently because I've got Crohn's. I lived with it for 20 years and I had a recent flare-up, so I've had to get this procedure done. It's not the first time. So I can definitely say with some experience what will be happening next. So basically what happens is that you will get 2 flavored drinks to drink, which will basically make you go to the toilet. So about 24 hours before the procedure happens, that's when all food stops. But you can obviously eat just up until that point. So make sure that you have a nice good meal before that 24 hours kicks in. Okay, so the clock has started 24 hours. What will happen is that if your appointment is 1:30 on a Friday, 1:30 on a Thursday, you would stop eating. And then when you come to tea time, say 5, 6 o'clock, that's when you'll start to drink the first drink. So it's a little powdered concoction that you'll put into some 500 milliliters of water, stir it up, and then you'll have to drink that 500 milliliters with probably some juice alongside to make it more palatable. Now, they have made steps in these areas to make them as tasty as possible. I think the flavored drinks I was drinking were mango based, so it's quite nice. A little bit of a surprise, but ultimately to have a little bit of juice next to you as you're drinking it is always a bit helpful if you're not really enjoying the experience. The idea is that you drink the drink over the course of an hour. It's not something you just neck straight away. So usually if it's 500 milliliters, it's 100 milliliters about every 10 minutes or so, and then you'll just track yourself that way. Once that hour is complete, generally not long afterwards is when you start to go to the toilet. So if you happen to live in a house with only 1 bathroom and you have a wife that likes to sit in the bath for hours at a time, generally advise them not to do that on that particular evening, because that is where you will be sitting for a little while. And generally after taking it within an hour, you're on that toilet, and probably the first hour or so is when the most action, shall we say, will happen. After that, you will start to get shorter, longer increments, I should say, of relief in between. But don't be surprised that if you have to go backwards and forwards, so just stay in close proximity to a toilet when this is going on. If you're going out and about, forget it, cancel your plans, just stay at home. So for me, after the first drink, after tea time, the 4 hours afterwards, it was all over. It was all done. You're basically being flushed out, and that first drink will certainly help you to do that. So you will have to get up very suddenly during the evening. So again, just staying close to the bathroom, making sure that bathroom is available as much as possible is always a good thing, just in case you have to get up during the night. I was lucky enough that the first 4 hours were the main action, and then I got to sleep for the full night. You get up for breakfast time, of course, you're still not eating, and here comes the second one, which is twice as big to drink. So they're definitely making sure that you're flushed out and everything's nice and clean and nothing's there. So again, just repeating the same steps. You'll drink it over the course of an hour, have some juice next to you to make sure that it's as palatable as possible, and then book a 4-hour segment where you'll just be sort of on the toilet. I took my second one at about 7:30 in the morning, and by 11:30, 12, again, everything just calmed down and there wasn't any more stuff to take. So I got through my prep quite easy. Now, in terms of your diet, there is a dietary requirement about 4 days before your procedure. You'll have to avoid fiber. They'll give you a long list of suggestions, but the gist of it is Stay away from fiber as much as possible. Nuts, seeds, things like that will stay in the bowel for days at a time, so they generally tell you to avoid that. But generally, it's fiber-based stuff that you want to avoid. Okay, so you've been through the 2 drinks. You've been flushed out completely. Don't be surprised if you've got a beer belly like me that it just shrinks to a fraction of the size, because you've generally not eaten, you've fasted for 24 hours, and then you've just been flushed out. So if you're a person that likes a detox, I suppose you could consider it a detox, and that's certainly something to enjoy from it. And you've certainly done the hard work as well. Okay, so colonoscopy, again, you've got a choice of gas and air, which generally, of course, as you know, it's given to women who are having babies, but it's also given to people who go through colonoscopies. I've had the gas and air myself, to be honest, because I didn't want to be hanging around the place too long. I just wanted it over with. I was prepared to deal with the discomfort, and that's what I chose. And it'll basically help to relax you for a short period of time. Everyone's there reassuring you, talking it through it as you're getting the procedure done. To answer the question whether it's painful or not, mostly discomfort than pain is the main thing. The initial insertion, not the bad part. It's when you start to feel it going through, depending on what position that they have you sitting in. They might roll you onto your back with your knees up, not unlike, I suppose, pregnancy, or have you on your side whilst they do it, and they might just adjust you if it gets just a bit too uncomfortable to make sure you're comfortable as possible. At least that was my experience recently. So for me, the whole thing, I think, took about half an hour, 45 minutes, but it didn't feel that long because of the gas and air, strangely enough. Again, the staff will be fully aware of the anxieties and the discomforts going through this, will give you a lot of reassurance, will be very kind to you, and when it's finally over, they'll tell you that you did really well. And it's good to have that support system, and the people recognize that it's something where you feel very vulnerable, understandably. So in that respect, they understand that, and they'll be very empathetic. Of course, if you go with the sedation side of things, again, you will probably not be aware of the majority of what's going on. You might start coming to towards the end of it, but ultimately you won't be aware of what's going on. The only caveat is that, again, you have to sit and be there in their company after the procedure, and also you can't drive or anything afterwards. You can't do anything of significance for the rest of the day with sedation. My personal preference is that I'll just do the discomfort part, be conscious of it, get through it, and then at least then I can go about my day. So colonoscopy, on the surface, it does sound intimidating. I myself have postponed colonoscopies in the past, but honestly, having gone through it recently, I'm a lot less anxious than I was probably when I got it done many years ago. It's a good procedure to have because things like spotting cancer and things like that can all come from this simple procedure. And you're talking about 24 hours of discomfort with all the prep and then the procedure itself. You'll be given some water. They'll do your vitals, make sure you're okay. One thing to expect afterwards is that there will be bleeding when you're going to the toilet for about 4 days afterwards. That's perfectly normal. They've taken biopsies from your colon, so it's more than perfectly okay if you're seeing some different results when you go into the toilet for a few days. It will stop and level out. I think on the 4th day I was starting to get a bit worried, but then all of a sudden things were just back to normal. So ultimately, nothing to worry about. Of course, if you are concerned, do seek that medical attention. Get yourself that reassurance. There's no silly questions, there's no silly actions on this. Take care of yourselves. If you found this video helpful, I do have a video on endoscopies and other sort of digestive related scans that I've received over the 20 years that I've had Crohn's. So if you like what you've seen here today, feel free to check those out and leave a comment, leave a like.